Shalom, Eliyokim Cohen, Jews News Briefs, June 15th, 2011, the 13th day of Sivan on the Hebrew calendar. We have a great show today. My top story is very sad and emotional, and I hope I can make it through without crying. That's our theme song from David Dome. Thank you so much. There's a lot of my friends on Facebook that have been emailing me, seeing how they can help out the show. One person's getting us a whole new sound system. I have Marty Murphy that sends me Today in Jewish History every day. Anyone out there that wants to help me out, I'll be more than happy to help you out with anything that you need. I'll plug anything you want on this show. Let's make this the home of Jewish news for the Jewish people. All right, the sponsor today is TorahAnytime.com. They have about 15,000 different Torah lectures on there from some of the best rabbis in the entire world. I try and listen to a few of these every single day. It's the easiest way to learn Torah. If you're in your car, you can listen. You know, if you're walking, you can listen on your headphones. Anywhere you are, you can be listening to Torah. You can be getting credit for the biggest mitzvah in the world, which is learning Torah. So thank you, Torah Anytime, for sponsoring today's show. All right, I have Grains of Sand here by Shifra Shomron. It's the book about the expulsion of Jews by Jews in Gush Katif. So the quote from today is, "A few hours later she listened to the news. A few more soldiers had refused orders and had been sentenced to 28 days in jail." There were a lot of soldiers that said, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I signed up to fight Muslims and other enemies, not my own people. And they were sentenced to jail. And there was actually a 13-year-old girl who was protesting that was in jail for about 8 months. A 13-year-old girl, she just got engaged, I heard, or married or whatever, which is awesome. I heard she's one of the most special girls in the entire world. She was in jail for 8 months because she refused to cooperate with the government. A 13-year-old girl. Yet this woman in Israel that stole military documents, this leftist, complete ignorant fool, is on house arrest. You can see, what is some of the things transpiring in this country. We're moving in the right direction, but there's still a long way to go. The courts in this system, the left-wing leadership in this country is absolutely the scourge of the Jewish people. And if more people keep watching the show and sharing the show, we can actually get real news out there. All right, so let's do a little Today in Jewish history. On this day in 1970, 11 Soviet citizens, 9 of them Jews, tried to hijack a Soviet plane so they could be flown out of the country. All they wanted to do was just leave the Soviet Union. It was so oppressive there. The plot was foiled before the plane took off, and 2 of the Jews were sentenced to death. But because of a lot of Jewish protests around the world, the sentence was commuted to 15 years of hard labor. And this was actually one of the first steps of trying to get the Jews out of the Soviet Union. This was really the first shot in the Free Soviet Jews campaign that ended up liberating hundreds of thousands of Jews from Russia. A lot of them came to America, a lot of them are here in Israel. The oppressive regime there was absolutely unbelievable. And it all started by Jews when they thought communism would be like the world's greatest idea. All right, so let's do a little quote from the day. Maturity is achieved when a person postpones immediate pleasures for long-term values. That's from Rabbi Joshua Loth Liebman. That's pretty much what the Torah says. We're not created to indulge in our desires every single second. We're not animals. There are some things that we are supposed to control and, use restraint to actually be human beings that can function in society. We don't have to, gratify every single desire immediately because that's very detrimental and that is not what a Jew is supposed to do. All right, so our Torah tidbit of the day is a great one. In this week's Parsha Shalach, the spies go out, 1 spy from each tribe. Well, the spies were listed, and when you read the list of the spies, it doesn't seem like it's in any order. It's not by order of age, it's not by order of, how they encamp. It's really not by order of anything. So the Ramban says that it's in order of the greatness of the person. So when you're looking at this list, Joshua is actually 5th. The one that led us into Israel is actually 5th. And Caleb, the one who also didn't go along with the spies, is 3rd. Meaning, there's 2 people even greater than Caleb that made such a fatal error that caused, a few million people to die in the desert. Which goes to show, no matter how great the person is, as soon as they turn away from truth, as soon as they turn away from Torah, and the path we were created to be as Jews, bad things happen. We see this all the time. There's always articles in the news about, different rabbis or different, Orthodox Jews, and the media loves to, always exploit any little fraction of a thing that's done wrong in the observant community, but it's the truth. When a Jew goes wrong, they go really, really wrong. We have the ability to, gain the highest heights in the world and, plumb to the lowest depths. All right, let's get on to our top story today, and this makes me so emotional. I'm hoping I can control myself. It seems like in the besieged, area known as Gaza, where all of our enemies live, already starting to choke up. It seems that they just opened. How do people live like? They opened a water park. I mean, it's bad enough that we're, having a blockade on them, but to let them have their own water park? The suffering that these people must be undergoing, that they have their own water park now. And I'm looking at the pictures of this right now, and there's one slide that does a loop-de-loop. There's kids smiling. And so we're actually laughing. The horror, the humanity of what is going on in Gaza. It's bad enough they have 5-star hotels. They have to live with the shame of 5-star hotels, bustling malls, and tourist attractions. But now they have a water park. And the place looks fun. I hope you're picking up on my sarcasm, because I'm laying it on pretty thick. People think that these Gazans are the most oppressed creatures in the entire world. They have 5-star hotels. They have beaches. They have water parks. They have 3-story shopping malls. They have markets teeming with European, food and goods. These are the least suffering people on earth. These people don't have to work. They don't have to do anything. The entire world, because they hate Jews, they give Gaza more aid per capita than any place in the history of the galaxy, not just the world. I want you to see these pictures. I'm going to post them on Jews News Briefs. You'll see these oppressed animals that, hand out candy when there's a terrorist attack against Jews. When the Fogel family was massacred, they were dancing on cars, they were playing music in the streets, and we still allow aid to go into this monstrosity of a city. If I was Prime Minister of this country, which Bezrat Hashem I will be if enough of you vote for me one day, I would completely level that place. I would build yeshivas, I would build low-income housing for any Jew that wants it, and I would build a really, really nice 5-star golf course that I would play pretty much every single morning after my show. They're not oppressed. And you know what? To prove they're not oppressed, here's an Egyptian journalist that had a tour of Gaza last year. He kept hearing that maybe they're not as oppressed as they think. So here's what he said. I toured the new resorts, most of which are quite grand, as well as the commercial markets to verify my hypothesis. The resorts and markets have come to symbolize prosperity and prove that the siege is political, not economic. I don't know what you have to say about this. Check out these pictures of this water park and tell me what you think. Speaking of water, yesterday my top story was absolutely phenomenal. A minister of Knesset brought 50 Sudanese refugees to this posh Tel Aviv swimming pool. So here's some of the quotes I have from that. How about breaking into a central siren in Tel Aviv and getting the Sedera code red siren to go off randomly through the day? This would get them accustomed to what life is like on the border. Meaning, the border towns of Gaza always pretty much live in bomb shelters. The people of Tel Aviv, who if we ever gave these animals a state, would also be living in bomb shelters, don't seem to actually grasp that. And the last quote from this was, how utterly cool, if they do it again, I want to go. I want to get a lot of people to go. I would like to start infiltrating pools in Tel Aviv every single day with the exact people that they don't want to be there. Religious Jews, Sunnis, immigrants, anyone that the left, claims they have so much tolerance for, but they absolutely hate. I want to get them to go swimming. That's the top story. All right, so I have a lot of respect for Gaddafi, I'll be honest. I actually really admire him. He doesn't take any blank from the world. Yesterday, he was shown on TV playing chess with a world chess champion. He's sitting there like, you know, deep in thought. Bombs are like exploding around him. Half of his people are trying to kill him. He's in there playing chess, and he actually settled for a stalemate, probably because his opponent, you know, didn't want to get his head chopped off if he beat him. But I actually really admire Gaddafi. I admire people that don't take any guff from the rest of the world. I wish that my leaders had the same chutzpah as Gaddafi, who, by the way, is Jewish, according to his family. So there it is. So apparently Hamas and Fatah are going to reach a unity government next week, which means that peace is never going to happen, not that it was before, but we have an organization that in their charter doesn't just call for the murder of Israelis. That would make a lot of you out there happy if it was just Israelis. It calls for the murder of Jews everywhere. Meaning if you're in some little podunk, you know, town in South Dakota and you meet a person from Hamas, his charter obligates him to kill you. I don't know if you knew that, but now you do. Alright, so a lot of ministers of Knesset went to Kever Yosef, Joseph's tomb, which is in Shechem, or as the Gentiles like to call it, Nablus, and they felt pride and shame at a visit to Joseph's tomb. Why do they feel shame going to the tomb of one of our most illustrious patriarchs? They felt shame because they had to be escorted by police and tons of soldiers, and even a place that we were guaranteed control over in the disastrous Oslo Accords, we still abandoned about a decade ago under Ehud Barak. If you look at pretty much all the major holy sites in this country, we either don't have complete access to them, they're in Muslim hands, we have to get armed guards to go there, or, you know, like the Temple Mount, we're so restricted and so, you know, villainized and demonized when we go up there that it's as if we have no control over it in the first place. So a cool thing tonight is that there's going to be a lunar eclipse, apparently, in Israel. From 8 to 12 tonight, there's going to be a total lunar eclipse. I don't think I've seen a lunar eclipse. I think I've seen a solar eclipse. This is actually going to be quite cool. And the Torah tells us about a lot of different significance that all these eclipses hold for our people. Maybe I'll get into that in tomorrow's show for a Torah tidbit. Let's play about Jew or not Jew. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, who just won the NBA World Championship, is he Jewish? Yes, Mark Cuban is Jewish. He's a billionaire. He's one of the most hilarious people I've met. And I want to congratulate him on a world championship. It is nice that Jews are, again, controlling the sports world. All right, so our Happy Time segment of the day is actually a really good one. Apparently, when soldiers in this country die, chas v'shalom, the prayer that we say has been debated. Whether we should say, may the people of Israel remember, or may God remember. Anyone with a brain should know that it should be, may God remember. But, you know, a lot of the leftists in this country want to completely ignore the fact that there's a God, and they want to say, may the people of Israel remember. Well, the IDF Chief of Staff just ruled that we're not going to say, may God remember. If you have any idea how big this is, this holds extraordinary significance that we're actually going to be bringing God, you know, back into this country. People like to separate, you know, Israel's not a separation of quote-unquote church and state. This is the Jewish homeland. This needs to be an observant Jewish homeland, and we're moving in that direction. You know, the birth rate in this country for the observant Jews is like 5 or 6 or 7, and for the, you know, leftists, they have like, you know, 0.825 kids and like 6.2 dogs. So we're moving in the right direction. Speaking of the right direction, senators are now opposing Hussein Obama's foreign policy on Israel. This is going to be a major thing in the next election, and this is going to sort of start the downfall of Jews in America. That is my prediction. Maybe in 2 years on this show, Bezrat Hashem will go back and you'll all see that maybe I was right. Yale is now getting rid of an anti-Semitism research group. They're saying it doesn't have any results. What the Jews are saying is that it's because of Muslim pressure. There's a new document that came out that says that Syria was 100% involved in the uprising. They actually forced their people to go to the border. They paid them. All these other things, documents to prove that. We have to go. Remember, it's not news unless it's Jews news. I hope everybody has a great day, and please keep sharing this link. Shalom.